My beloved child, have you ever had a season where it felt like life kept giving everyone else a door, except you? Where you watched people move forward, watched people celebrate, watched people receive opportunities, while you kept wondering, when will something finally change for me? Tonight's story begins with a person carrying exactly that question. Not because they lacked effort, not because they lacked talent, because life had become exhausting. The kind of exhausting that doesn't come from work, the kind that comes from disappointment, the kind that comes from waiting. And child, waiting can become very heavy when you don't know what you're waiting for. Imagine standing outside a locked gate for years. Not days, not weeks, years. Every morning you walk past it. Every evening you walk past it. Eventually you stop expecting it to open. You convince yourself this is simply how life is. That was the mistake. Because sometimes the moment we stop expecting change is the moment change quietly begins. Right now, a sacred opportunity is visible on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link pinned in the comments and description below to sow your seed of faith. We have all stumbled blindly and made mistakes in life, but God is offering you a divine moment of confession and redemption today. Do not let this moment pass. By sowing a sacrificial seed of donation right now, you are initiating a spiritual harvest. The Almighty Himself will examine your offering, and the blessings of your generosity will return to you multiplied, securing divine favor not just for your future, but for generations to come. Sow your seed today and change your destiny. The person in tonight's story lived in a small house. Nothing extraordinary. Nothing luxurious. Just familiar. Every wall carried memories. Every room carried stories. Every corner carried reminders of both victories and struggles. But lately something felt different. The house wasn't the problem. The thinking was. Because somewhere along the journey, the person had started believing that their future would always look exactly like their present. And that belief became a prison. Now imagine an eagle raised inside a small fence. Every day it sees the same boundaries. Eventually it forgets it was created to fly beyond them. Child, many people live exactly that way. Not trapped by circumstances. Trapped by expectations. And expectations shape futures more than most people realize. One evening something unexpected happened. Not a miracle. Not a lottery ticket. Not a mysterious visitor. A conversation. A simple conversation. The kind people almost ignore. Yet some conversations arrive at exactly the right time. During the discussion, one sentence changed everything. The sentence was, "What if the life you're asking for requires a version of you that hasn't appeared yet?" Child. The words felt strange. Yet they refused to leave. Because suddenly the person wasn't thinking about money, or luck, or circumstances. They were thinking about potential. Potential changes everything. Now imagine standing inside a dark room. For years you believe the room is small. Then someone opens a hidden door and reveals 3 more rooms behind it. The rooms were always there. You simply didn't know they existed. Child, that is what potential feels like. The discovery that your future may be larger than your current view. Over the next few days, the person began noticing something. Opportunities had not completely disappeared. They had simply been overlooked. Ideas overlooked. Skills overlooked. Connections overlooked. Possibilities overlooked. Because discouragement narrows vision. And narrow vision misses opportunities. Now imagine searching for treasure while staring only at the ground directly beneath your feet. You might walk past something valuable without ever seeing it. Child, that realization created a shift. A powerful shift. For the first time in years, the person stopped asking, "Why is nothing changing?" and started asking, "What have I been missing?" That question changed everything. Because better questions often create better futures. The QR code on your screen and the link in the pinned comment are your gateway to a fresh start. God is giving you this exact moment to confess your unseen wrongs and correct your path. Sow your seed right now without fear. God is analyzing your heart today, and the donation you make will trigger a divine reaction. Expect a massive turnaround in your life, and a permanent blessing that will feed your lineage for centuries. Secure it today. But child, the most important discovery has not happened yet. Because very soon, this person will uncover something about themselves that they never fully appreciated. A strength. A gift. A capability. Something that has been quietly growing for years. And once they finally see it, the future they thought was impossible will suddenly look much closer than they ever imagined. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word possible. Because sometimes the biggest change begins the moment you believe a different future is possible. And if you're ready for part 2, type 2. Because the next chapter reveals the hidden strength this person discovers, and why it changes the direction of their entire life. Part 2. Friend, there is something strange about human beings. We can see greatness in other people very quickly. Yet we often walk past our own strengths without noticing them. We remember our mistakes. We remember our failures. We remember the opportunities we missed. But the things we do well, the things that make us valuable, the things that could change our future, those often remain invisible. And child, that is exactly where this chapter begins. Because the person in this story was about to discover something important. Not about the world. About themselves. Now imagine carrying a key in your pocket for years without realizing what it unlocks. Every day the key travels with you. Every day it remains close. Yet it never changes your life because you never use it. Child, hidden potential works exactly like that. It can remain beside a person for years. Waiting. Quietly. Patiently. Until the day it is finally recognized. Your breakthrough is waiting behind that QR code and the link in the pinned comment. God has brought you to this video for a reason, to test your faithfulness. Stop letting past errors hold your destiny captive. Sow your sacrificial seed today. The Almighty is personally examining your heart through this offering. Give generously right now, and unlock a wave of supernatural blessings that will overflow into your life and protect your children's future forever. The days after that conversation felt different. Not dramatically different. Subtly different. The person began paying attention. Really paying attention. To old interests. Old skills. Old dreams. Things they had pushed aside while dealing with everyday responsibilities. Now imagine cleaning out an old attic. At first you expect dust and forgotten boxes. Then suddenly you find something valuable you forgot you owned. Child, that is exactly what was happening. The person was rediscovering pieces of themselves. Peace is buried beneath routine, beneath discouragement, beneath years of believing life would never change. And every discovery brought another realization. They had more to offer than they believed. Much more. One evening, while looking through old notes and unfinished plans, they found something surprising. An idea. An old goal. Something they once cared deeply about. Something they had abandoned years earlier. Not because it lacked value. Because life became busy. Now imagine planting a seed and forgetting where you planted it. Years later you discover a tree growing in that exact place. Child, dreams can work exactly that way. Some disappear. Others simply wait. And this particular dream had been waiting. The person stared at it for a long time. Longer than expected. Because for the first time in years, excitement appeared. Not excitement based on luck. Excitement based on possibility. And possibility is powerful. Because it wakes people up. Over the following weeks, another shift began happening. The person stopped focusing entirely on what they lacked. Stopped comparing themselves to everyone else. Stopped measuring their progress against someone else's timeline. Now imagine running a race while constantly looking sideways. You spend so much time watching others that you forget to run your own race properly. Child, comparison steals energy. And energy matters. The moment they stopped comparing, something unexpected happened. Their focus returned. Their creativity returned. Their motivation returned. Not all at once. Little by little. Day by day. Choice by choice. And that gradual change became more powerful than any overnight transformation. A divine portal of restoration is open right now on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link waiting for you in the description and pinned comment to sow your seed. If you have been carrying the weight of past mistakes and hidden regrets, recognize this moment. God has orchestrated this exact second for your confession and spiritual cleansing. This is your chance to make it right. By stepping forward with your donation today, you are releasing a seed directly into the hands of the Creator. God is personally testing your heart and examining your faithfulness today. In return, He will unlock a supernatural harvest that will overflow into your life and shield your lineage for generations to come. Sow your seed now and claim your breakthrough. One afternoon brought a moment they would never forget. A friend asked a simple question. A question so simple that it almost seemed unimportant. The question was, what do people always come to you for help with? Child. The answer appeared immediately, which surprised them, because they never considered it special. Now imagine a musician who has heard their own music so many times that they stop noticing how beautiful it sounds. Other people notice. The musician doesn't. Child, that is exactly what happened. The thing people valued most about them felt ordinary to them. Natural. Normal. Yet to others, it was rare. And rare things create opportunities. The person suddenly realized that what came naturally to them was something other people genuinely appreciated. That realization felt like someone turning on a light in a dark room. The weeks continued. And with every small step, confidence began growing. Not loud confidence. Quiet confidence. The strongest kind. Now imagine sunrise. It doesn't arrive instantly. The darkness fades gradually. The horizon brightens gradually. Yet eventually the entire landscape changes. Child, confidence often arrives exactly that way. Slowly, quietly, consistently. And the person could feel it happening. The future no longer felt like a locked door. It felt like an open road. A road with challenges. A road with uncertainty. But also a road with possibility. And possibility creates momentum. Then came the realization that changed everything. The realization that connected every lesson. Every struggle. Every delay. Every disappointment. The person finally understood something important. The years were not empty. The waiting was not empty. The difficult seasons were not empty. They had been learning, growing, preparing, developing strengths they didn't recognize at the time. Now imagine a blacksmith shaping steel. The process looks harsh. The fire looks uncomfortable. The hammer strikes look relentless. Yet every strike creates strength. Child, life often works the same way. And suddenly the person could see strength where they once saw setbacks. Opportunity where they once saw obstacles. Growth where they once saw delays. Look at the QR code on your screen, or click the link in the description and pinned comment right now. God knows the hidden guilt you've carried from past mistakes. This is your divine window to confess, release that burden, and sow your seed. What you donate today isn't just money, it's a seed directly evaluated by God Himself. He will multiply this sacrifice, breaking every financial curse and securing an eternal harvest for you and your future generations. Act now. But child, the biggest breakthrough is still ahead. Because very soon, this person will receive an opportunity that forces them to make a decision. A decision connected directly to the strengths they just discovered. A decision that could change the direction of their future. And when that opportunity appears, they will finally understand why every previous chapter mattered. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word strength. Because sometimes the thing that changes your future is something you've carried inside you all along. And if you're ready for part 3, type 3. Because the next chapter reveals the opportunity that appears unexpectedly, and why it feels different from everything that came before. Part 3. My beloved one. Listen carefully. Not because this moment is ordinary. Because there are seasons in life when heaven allows a person to see themselves through a different lens. And child, that season was beginning. For years, the person in this story believed they were waiting for an opportunity. Waiting for a breakthrough. Waiting for circumstances to change. Waiting for life to finally move. But what they did not understand was this. The waiting was changing them. Every difficult season. Every closed door. Every disappointment. Every unanswered question. None of it was wasted. Now imagine a sculptor standing before a block of stone. The stone sees loss. Pieces falling away. Pieces disappearing. Pieces breaking off. Yet the sculptor sees something different. The sculptor sees creation. Child, many seasons that feel like loss are actually preparation. And preparation was happening even when this person could not see it. The QR code on your screen and the link in the pinned comment are your gateway to a fresh start. God is giving you this exact moment to confess your unseen wrongs and correct your path. Sow your seed right now without fear. God is analyzing your heart today, and the donation you make will trigger a divine reaction. Expect a massive turnaround in your life, and a permanent blessing that will feed your lineage for centuries. Secure it today. One morning, while going through an ordinary routine, something unexpected happened. Not outside. Inside. A thought appeared. A simple thought. Yet it refused to leave. The thought was, what if I am more capable than I believe? Child. That question changed everything. Because for years they had focused on limitations, focused on obstacles, focused on reasons something could not happen. Now imagine spending years staring at a locked gate, then suddenly realizing there is another path beside it. The gate remains locked, yet the journey continues. Child, possibilities often appear the moment perspective changes. And perspective was changing rapidly. The person started noticing things they once ignored, skills they took for granted, experiences they dismissed, strengths they overlooked. The evidence had always existed. The awareness had not. Right now, a sacred opportunity is visible on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link pinned in the comments and description below to sow your seed of faith. We have all stumbled blindly and made mistakes in life, but God is offering you a divine moment of confession and redemption today. Do not let this moment pass. By sowing a sacrificial seed of donation. Right now, you are initiating a spiritual harvest. The Almighty Himself will examine your offering, and the blessings of your generosity will return to you multiplied, securing divine favor not just for your future, but for generations to come. Sow your seed today and change your destiny. As the days continued, another realization appeared. A realization connected to every struggle they had experienced. Now imagine reading only the difficult chapters of a book. You would believe the story is about hardship. But when you read the entire book, you discover the hardship was building towards something greater. Child, that is what was happening. The person began seeing patterns. Moments that once felt random now appeared connected. Challenges that once felt meaningless now carried purpose. Lessons that once felt painful now carried value. And for the first time in a long time, they stopped viewing themselves as someone who had been left behind. They began seeing themselves as someone who had been developing. Quietly. Consistently. Powerfully. Then came the opportunity. Not a miracle. Not a fantasy. An opportunity. The kind that often arrives disguised as something ordinary. The kind many people miss because it does not look dramatic enough. Now imagine standing on a shoreline waiting for a massive ship. You expect something enormous. Something impossible to miss. Yet your future arrives in a small boat. And because it doesn't match your expectations, you almost ignore it. Child, opportunities often arrive exactly that way. Quietly. Without fanfare. Without announcement. Without permission. And this opportunity appeared during what seemed like an ordinary conversation. A conversation that almost never happened. A conversation that almost got postponed. A conversation that almost seemed unimportant. Yet hidden inside it was a door. A real door. A new direction. A new possibility. A new chapter. The person could feel something changing. Not externally. Internally. Hope was returning. Not blind hope. Grounded hope. The kind built on action. The kind built on growth. The kind built on understanding. Now imagine sunrise after a long winter night. The darkness does not disappear instantly. Yet the light keeps growing. minute by minute, moment by moment. Child, that is what was happening. The light was returning. The person began believing something they had not believed for years. That their future could be bigger than their past. That tomorrow did not need to resemble yesterday. That possibility still existed. And possibility is powerful. Because possibility creates movement. Look at the QR code on your screen, or click the link in the description and pinned comment right now. God knows the hidden guilt you've carried from past mistakes. This is your divine window to confess, release that burden, and sow your seed. What you donate today isn't just money, it's a seed directly evaluated by God Himself. He will multiply this sacrifice, breaking every financial curse and securing an eternal harvest for you and your future generations. Act now. But beloved one, the greatest revelation has not arrived yet. Because the opportunity that just appeared carries a hidden connection. A connection to something the person experienced years ago. Something they once viewed as a failure. Something they wished had never happened. Yet very soon they will discover that painful chapter was the exact reason this new door appeared. And when that realization arrives, everything changes. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word purpose. Because sometimes the chapters that hurt the most become the chapters that prepare us the best. And if you're ready for part 4, type 4. Because the next chapter reveals why an old disappointment secretly became the foundation for a completely new future. Part 4. My precious one, come closer to this message. Because what happens next is the part most people never see. Most people celebrate the breakthrough. Very few understand the preparation that created it. Very few understand the years of invisible growth that happened before anyone noticed. And child, that invisible growth is where this chapter begins. The opportunity had appeared. The door was there. The possibility was real. Yet something inside the person remained unsettled. Not because they doubted the opportunity. Because they were trying to understand why it had appeared now. Why not last year? Why not 5 years ago? Why after all the waiting? Why after all the disappointment? Now imagine standing before a giant tapestry. From the front, the image looks beautiful. From behind, you see tangled threads, knots, loose ends, confusion. Child, many people judge their lives from the back side of the tapestry. They only see the knots. But heaven sees the image being created. And the image was finally becoming visible. That night, the person could not sleep easily. Not because they were afraid. Because their mind kept returning to old memories. Old seasons. Old chapters. Moments they had buried years ago. Now imagine opening a box stored in an attic. A box you haven't touched for years. Inside are photographs, letters, reminders, pieces of a life you once lived. Child, that is what memory became that night. A box opening. And inside that box was a chapter they had always called a failure. A chapter they wished never happened. A chapter they tried to forget. Yet suddenly something strange happened. The memory looked different. Not because the past changed. Because understanding changed. Years earlier, they had pursued something with all their heart. They invested time, energy, hope, faith, only to watch it collapse. The door closed. The opportunity disappeared. The dream ended. Or so they thought. Now imagine a farmer planting seeds before winter. Months pass. Snow arrives. Nothing grows. The field appears empty. Dead. Forgotten. Yet beneath the surface, something is still happening. Child, that forgotten chapter had never truly ended. Its roots were still alive. The lesson survived. The wisdom survived. The experience survived. And now those things were becoming valuable. The person finally realized that what they once called failure had actually become training. Training they didn't know they were receiving. A divine portal of restoration is open right now on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link waiting for you in the description and pinned comment to sow your seed. If you have been carrying the weight of past mistakes and hidden regrets, recognize this moment. God has orchestrated this exact second for your confession and spiritual cleansing. This is your chance to make it right. By stepping forward with your donation today, you are releasing a seed directly into the hands of the Creator. God is personally testing your heart and examining your faithfulness today. In return, He will unlock a supernatural harvest that will overflow into your life and shield your lineage for generations to come. Sow your seed now and claim your breakthrough. As the realization deepened, another truth appeared. One that struck even harder. The opportunity now sitting in front of them required skills they did not possess years ago. It required patience, perspective, resilience, humility, and those qualities had been developed during the difficult seasons. Now imagine giving a powerful vehicle to someone who has never learned to drive. The vehicle is valuable, but without preparation, it becomes dangerous. Child, some blessings arrive only after preparation is complete. Not because heaven wants delay. Because heaven understands timing. And timing changes everything. The person suddenly understood why certain doors remained closed. Not as punishment. As protection. Not because they were forgotten. Because they were being prepared. For the first time, gratitude began replacing frustration. Not completely, but steadily. The old wounds looked different. The old disappointments looked different. The old delays looked different. Now imagine climbing a mountain through thick fog. Every step feels uncertain. Every turn feels confusing. Then suddenly you reach higher ground and the fog begins clearing. Child, the path was always leading somewhere. You simply couldn't see it from below. That realization brought peace. A deep peace. Because suddenly the person understood that life had not been working against them. It had been working on them. Quietly. Patiently. Consistently. Even when they couldn't see it. The QR code on your screen and the link in the pinned comment are your gateway to a fresh start. God is giving you this exact moment to confess your unseen wrongs and correct your path. Sow your seed right now without fear. God is analyzing your heart today, and the donation you make will trigger a divine reaction. Expect a massive turnaround in your life, and a permanent blessing that will feed your lineage for centuries. Secure it today. Days passed. The opportunity continued growing. Conversations continued. Possibilities expanded. And with every passing day, confidence increased. Not because guarantees existed. Because understanding existed. Now imagine a sailor preparing to leave shore. The sailor cannot control every wave. Cannot control every storm. Cannot control every challenge. Yet the sailor leaves anyway. Why? Because preparation creates confidence. And confidence creates movement. Child, movement was returning. The person was no longer stuck in yesterday. No longer trapped inside old disappointments. They were beginning to step into something new. Something larger. Something they once believed belonged only to other people. Then came the realization that changed everything. The opportunity itself was not the blessing. The person they had become was the blessing. Read that again. The opportunity was important. But the transformation mattered more. Now imagine receiving a treasure chest. The treasure is valuable. Yet the wisdom to use it wisely is even more valuable. Child, that was the lesson. The greatest gift was not what appeared before them. The greatest gift was who they had become while waiting. Stronger. Wiser. More patient. More prepared. More capable. And suddenly every difficult chapter carried meaning. Scan the QR code or click the link below immediately to sow your seed of faith. This is God's direct invitation to wash away past regrets and write a new story. The seed you sow today goes straight to the Creator's ledger. He will witness your sacrifice and return it to you 100-fold, establishing a divine shield of wealth and peace over your bloodline for generations to come. Do not hesitate, sow your seed now. But beloved one, the most powerful revelation is still ahead. Because very soon, the person will discover something unexpected about this opportunity. Something hidden. Something nobody mentioned. Something connected directly to a dream they abandoned years ago. A dream they believed was gone forever. And when that hidden connection is revealed, the entire story will make sense in a way they never imagined possible. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word timing. Because what feels late from one perspective may actually be arriving at the perfect moment. And if you're ready for part 5, type 5. Because the final chapter reveals the hidden connection between the past and the future, and why nothing in this journey was wasted. Part 5, Final Chapter. My beloved one, if you have reached this chapter, then listen carefully. Not to me. To your own journey. Because the truth hidden inside this story was never about one opportunity. Never. About one conversation. Never about one breakthrough. It was about something much deeper. Something most people discover far too late. And child, that truth is this. The chapters you wanted to erase often become the chapters that explain everything. Now imagine standing at the top of a mountain after a long climb. Looking back. Seeing every turn. Every detour. Every difficult path. Every place where you almost stopped. From the bottom, the journey looked confusing. From the top, it suddenly makes sense. Child, that is exactly where the person in this story found themselves. For the first time, they were looking backward with understanding instead of frustration. And what they saw changed everything. Right now, a sacred opportunity is visible on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link pinned in the comments and description below to sow your seed of faith. We have all stumbled blindly and made mistakes in life, but God is offering you a divine moment of confession and redemption today. Do not let this moment pass. By sowing a sacrificial seed of donation right now, you are initiating a spiritual harvest. The Almighty Himself will examine your offering, and the blessings of your generosity will return to you multiplied, securing divine favor not just for your future, but for generations to come. Sow your seed today and change your destiny. The opportunity continued unfolding. New conversations appeared. New possibilities appeared. New doors appeared. Yet the most important discovery was still waiting. A discovery connected to a dream from years ago. A dream they had quietly buried. Now imagine planting a seed in one field. Nothing happens. Years later, a tree begins growing in another field entirely. At first it seems unrelated. Yet eventually you discover the roots were connected all along. Child, life often works exactly that way. The person suddenly realized that the opportunity in front of them was connected to an old dream they thought had failed. Not identical. Connected. The dream had changed shape, changed direction, changed form. Yet its purpose remained alive. And that realization left them speechless. Because what they once called an ending had secretly become a beginning. One evening, while reviewing old notes and forgotten plans, they found something. A page. A simple page. Nothing extraordinary. Yet written on that page was a goal from years earlier. A goal they never achieved. A goal they once cried over. A goal they believed was permanently lost. Now imagine reading a letter written by a younger version of yourself. You remember the hopes, the fears, the dreams, the expectations. Child, that page became a mirror. And as they read it, something remarkable happened. The details were different. The path was different. The destination was different. Yet the deeper desire remained exactly the same. The person realized they were still moving toward the same purpose. Just through a route they never expected. And suddenly years of confusion began disappearing. The realization became even stronger. Because they started noticing connections everywhere. People they met during difficult seasons. Skills they learned during frustrating seasons. Lessons they learned during painful seasons. All of them were now useful. All of them mattered. All of them connected. Now imagine collecting pieces of a puzzle for 10 years without knowing what image you are building. Then one day the final pieces arrive. Child, that was the feeling. Nothing had been random. Nothing had been wasted. Even the mistakes carried lessons. Even the setbacks carried value. Even the disappointments carried preparation. And preparation is never wasted. Never. Scan the QR code or click the link below immediately to sow your seed of faith. This is God's direct invitation to wash away past regrets and write a new story. The seed you sow today goes straight to the Creator's ledger. He will witness your sacrifice and return it to you 100-fold, establishing a divine shield of wealth and peace over your bloodline for generations to come. Do not hesitate, sow your seed now. For the first time in many years, the person stopped asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and started asking, "What was this preparing me for?" Child. That question transformed everything. Because the first question focuses on pain. The second question focuses on purpose. Now imagine two travelers walking the same road. One sees obstacles. The other sees training. The road remains identical. Yet the experience becomes completely different. Child, perspective changes journeys. And perspective had completely transformed this one. The person finally understood that life had not been delaying them. Life had been developing them. Quietly. Patiently. Faithfully. Even when they could not see it. As the months moved forward, the opportunity became reality. Not overnight. Not magically. Step by step. Conversation by conversation. Decision by decision. Because real growth rarely happens instantly. Now imagine watching a sunrise. The sky changes gradually. Minute by minute. Color by color. Yet eventually daylight fills the entire horizon. Child, that is how transformation works. Slowly enough that people doubt it is happening. Then suddenly enough that nobody can deny it. And the person could finally see it. Not only in their circumstances. Inside themselves. They had become someone stronger than the person who started the journey. Someone wiser. Someone calmer. Someone more prepared. Someone more capable. And that transformation became the greatest reward of all. Then came the final realization. The realization that tied every chapter together. The dream never died. The purpose never disappeared. The future never stopped moving. Only the route changed. Now imagine a river traveling toward the ocean. Mountains may redirect it. Rocks may slow it. Storms may challenge it. Yet eventually it reaches its destination. Child, purpose often works the same way. The route changes. The destination remains. And that realization brought peace unlike anything they had experienced before. Because suddenly they understood that every chapter belonged. Even the painful ones. Even the confusing ones. Even the chapters they wished never happened. All of them carried value. All of them carried preparation. All of them carried purpose. The QR code on your screen and the link in the pinned comment are your gateway to a fresh start. God is giving you this exact moment to confess your unseen wrongs and correct your path. Sow your seed right now without fear. God is analyzing your heart today, and the donation you make will trigger a divine reaction. Expect a massive turnaround in your life, and a permanent blessing that will feed your lineage for centuries. Secure it today. Before this story ends, remember this. You may not understand every delay today. You may not understand every disappointment today. You may not understand every closed door today. But understanding often arrives later. Much later. And when it arrives, you may discover something surprising. The very chapters you wanted removed from your story were the chapters that prepared you for everything that came next. Before you leave this final chapter, comment the word purpose. Because purpose often continues moving even when we believe the journey has stopped. And tell us, what challenge in your life eventually became one of your greatest lessons? Until next time, beloved one. Remember this. Nothing valuable learned is ever wasted. Nothing meaningful endured is ever wasted. And sometimes the road that looks broken is secretly leading exactly where it was meant to go.